Okay, so we are going to play around with the Apple Photo Editor. So I already have this picture of my niece on my desktop, and I was playing around with this a little bit. So we're just gonna import here, and then you can double click on the image to edit it and press edit. That brings up all of your adjustments right here. These adjustments really are not terribly different than what you might see in Lightroom. So the first thing I noticed, like just looking at this photo, is that she is very, very cool. That dress is looking blue, and she is looking kind of pale. And so the first thing that we are going to play around with is the color. And when I can click auto on and off, and that does look better, but it's still a little blue. So I'm going to go to options, and I'm going to warm her up. See on under cast, I'm going to warm her up a little bit. Add a little bit of contrast. And I don't particularly love using saturation only because I worry that it's going to saturate what we don't want saturated. So we're gonna close that up. We're not gonna do black and white either, so we're good there. Under light, you can kind of play around with these brilliance here. Exposure is gonna bring it up as a whole. I don't think we really need to mess with that in this case. I am going to take the highlights down because her dress is kind of bright. And sometimes we can take the shadow up just a little bit, give it a little bit more contrast to balance that. Blacks right here, and that'll add some contrast as well. And then if there is anything that we need to retouch, it looks like maybe this will do that. You have to be careful too that you don't go overboard with that because it can kind of mess things up pretty easily. Looks like that's how you make the size change. White balance here, we can do it kind of, either way. This little clicker though is great for clicking around on skin, just to kind of show you. You can also do a neutral gray and set your white point that way. So you click on something that's supposed to be white. I probably would stick with neutral gray, or come in here and manually set it this way. Tint versus temperature. But yeah, like I said, probably the easiest option is to go here and set your neutral gray that way, and then just sort of micro adjust from there. Curves, you can see my curve video. It's the same here as it would be in anywhere else. So look for that, but you can add contrast this way. This is a great way to kind of raise contrast but keep your highlights down that way, which that looks terrible, so we're not going to do that, but there you go. And then levels here. I'm just wondering what the auto will do. Oh, you can, okay, see, we can adjust levels separately, just like we would in Lightroom or Photoshop. Again, I'm not going to mess with that in here today. Definition. So you want to be really careful with using the definition because of what's happening to her skin. Not a huge fan of that tool. I'd rather make the micro adjustments elsewhere. Selective color, this is one of my favorites for hue. here. And then we can kind of change the greens. So if you saw what I did there, I used this selector tool and then I changed the hue from there. So for example, I could change her skin tone right here and change kind of what the shadows look like there or the luminance of her skin. This will be really nice if you have like a super close-up portrait. You can also see here with blue, and we can take the blue saturation out of that dress that way, which is super nice. And then I'm not really sure what the range. Oh, the range is, I guess, maybe like a micro adjustment, so you can really nail down what exactly you're wanting to do. What happened? We don't want that. There we go. And then, ooh. Okay. All right. And then noise reduction. Usually you're going to want to, let's see here, really hone in on this so that you're getting like super duper close, and just do like a little bit. This is obviously a little out of focus too, so sharpen. You can sharpen using this tool right here, and you just kind of have to play with it. You don't want to over sharpen it because then you get some weird funky things happening to the skin. And then should you want to, you can also add a vignette. I almost always add one, but they're very, very slight. So there we go. And then we will crop it. You can also twist it so that it's straight. And our cropping, we want that kind of over the eye there. Done. Okay. So, let's see. File and export. Export one photo. And let's see what our adjustment looks like. Okay. All right, so you can see this is after and this is before. So we managed to warm her skin and then take the blue out of her dress and then just really enhance the greens behind her. So I think that's definitely a big favorable change that makes it look a lot better. All right, thanks for listening.